We're a centralized career office, meaning we are your one-stop shop for all of your recruiting needs, internships, job postings, career expos, and student recruiting, of course. We serve all students, undergrads starting freshman year, all master's students, all PhDs and alumni, everybody except for the MBAs who have their own career development office. A quick recap on our student profile. Our total student population is almost 8,000 students with 4,000 undergrads and close to 4,000 graduate students. Rice was founded in 1912 and is a top-tier research institution, along with the great academics that we offer. We also offer more than 50 majors across 7 schools of study. So on the next slide, you will see that here's our agenda. And do feel free to put any of your questions in the chat or raise your hand and we will get all of your questions answered. Here's a brief overview of what we will cover today. What recruiting will look like in the fall, logistics for the Virtual Career Expo, how to reach Rice students, and ways to build your brand through our externship program. Again, I'm delighted you're here. Thanks for joining us, and I'm delighted to turn it over to Anne.
Thank you so much, Nicole. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us and for introducing yourself in our chat box. So our team and Rice have learned a lot about operating safely during the pandemic. We hosted a small number of outdoor events last year that were successful both from a health and safety perspective and from a student engagement perspective. And in planning those events, we defined a set of guiding principles by which we're continuing to operate this year. The safety and well-being of our students, our employer partners, and our team continue to be our North Star. So a new wrinkle we were faced with this year was the change in campus policies after we had opened fall recruiting. So our team really strives to create clear expectations for the recruiting experience while ensuring a level playing field for our employers. And this has led to some of our recent changes, which you'll hear about shortly. As always, meaningful connections between Rice students and employers is the focus of our team's mission. Next slide, please, Michelle. So students are fully back on campus, except for some unique situations, but there are limitations to campus operations, particularly when it comes to outside visitors. We did want to quickly share what Rice is doing to keep the community safe. We anticipate that after a couple of upcoming vaccination clinics, 90% of our core campus population of approximately 12,000 members will be vaccinated. So additionally, masks are required in all indoor spaces as well as outdoor spaces for unvaccinated individuals. There are strict limitations on the use of campus spaces by visitors, and community surveillance testing continues to ramp up. Rice has really made the testing process easy for students, staff, and faculty by setting up multiple locations and multiple collection methods. One of Rice's bioengineering labs developed a saliva test and that's really my favorite site because it's the easiest one to go through for me. So we're going to switch over to Camille Elmore, who is now going to walk us through campus recruiting for this fall. Camille?
Thank you, Anne. So we're excited to continue offering an array of options for employers to engage with Rice talent this fall. First, we're hosting our Virtual Expo through Handshake on September 23rd, and Caitlin's going to tell you more about that awesome opportunity in a moment. And we're also offering virtual information sessions that can be scheduled through Handshake. Virtual information sessions are a great way to build interest in your opportunities among Rice students. Additionally, we will have opportunities for both virtual and very limited in-person interviews and coffee chats this fall. These opportunities allow you to meet with students informally to promote opportunities or more formally to recruit students. Next slide, please, Michelle. Our team continues to facilitate a variety of safe and convenient virtual opportunities for you to engage with Rice talent. Information sessions allow students to get to know your organization and your opportunities far beyond a simple job posting in Handshake. We host virtual information sessions Monday through Thursday from 4 to 5 p.m., 5:30 to 6 p.m., and 5:30 to 6:30 p.m., and 7 to 8 p.m. And we really encourage you to be creative when putting together your virtual information sessions. We've had employers see great success from creative events like trivia and panels, simulations, and more. It's important to keep in mind that Rice students attend a lot of events, and consider how you can make your virtual event stand out. And please be sure to include a descriptive message on your event in Handshake so students know what to expect. And we also encourage you to reach out directly to students and related student clubs through Handshake and/or OwlNest, which is our student engagement platform. And additionally, Rice alumni can be a really valuable resource in making your information session a success. If you have any Rice alumni on your team, we definitely encourage you to leverage their involvement to encourage student attendance at your event. And finally, we definitely encourage you to register as soon as possible, as our slots for the fall are quickly filling up. Virtual interviews are also available this fall and can be requested via Handshake. If you'd like to host an interview, we recommend planning at least one, preferably more, info sessions or coffee chats to let students know you're planning on hosting interviews on campus. And it also gives you a chance to prepare students for how your interviews will be hosted. And you're welcome to manage your own workflow when it comes to managing your virtual interviews, but I'm also available to assist you in creating Zoom links and moderating your interviews. Finally, coffee chats are another virtual engagement option this fall and can be requested as an event on Handshake. Coffee chats are an informal and easy way to connect with students and can be customized to target specific relevant student groups. I'm available to help you manage individual Zoom schedules for your coffee chats, as well as support you in leveraging Handshake to make your coffee chats a success. Next slide, please, Michelle. So let's quickly review the in-person opportunities to recruit on campus this fall. Because of the lower number of students and employers typically involved in coffee chats and interviews on campus, we do have the green light to move forward with interviews and coffee chats in person on a very limited case-by-case basis. Employers on campus will be required to abide by Rice's masking and social distancing policies. Different from an in-person interview, an in-person coffee chat gives you the opportunity to meet with students informally over a cup of coffee at Brockstein Pavilion at Rice. And you can choose to meet with students from a preset schedule or simply generate interest in your opportunities by engaging students who stop by. If you have any ideas about how you might like to engage with students through in-person interviews and coffee chats this fall, please reach out to me or start the conversation by requesting your event or interviews in Handshake. And now I'm excited to turn things over to Michelle Passo, who's going to tell us about Rice's externship program, which is another exciting way to meet Rice students.
Thanks, Camille. Hi, everybody. I am super excited to talk about our Edge Externship program, which is going into its 8th year in 2022. I saw several names on here who have hosted in the past, so thank you. We're always looking for hosts who are alums, our recruiter, employer partners, parents of Rice students, anyone who's willing to connect with Rice students to help them explore a job function, an organization, or an industry more broadly. We offer 2 sessions. One is during winter break. It'll be the first week in January, and spring break, which is in mid-March. And we have a little bit of flexibility with the spring session. These are either on-site, half a day is typical, or on a virtual platform. We saw a lot of success last year with our virtual platform for these opportunities. Typically, we have about 300 students go through externships a year, and this past year we had about 500 participate. And this program's geared towards freshmen and sophomores specifically. We do have juniors and seniors and even some graduate students participate. But if you're looking for early engagement, it's a great way to identify talent early through this program. And we do the matching on the CCD side, so you don't have to look at any resumes or anything for this particular program. If you have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them. You can check out this website for more information and to register. I'm sure we'll be emailing you about this program again, but the deadline to register for winter break is October 25th. It's a pretty low time commitment and low cost. So keep it in mind. All right, I'm going to kick it over to Caitlin, I believe.
That's right. Thanks, Michelle. So something you should know about the CCD is we love emojis and we love the new emojis that Zoom has. So before I get started talking, if you've been to a virtual fair, even if it wasn't in Handshake, go ahead and put an emoji on your screen, whichever one you like. Our team will do it too, so we can just laugh for a second. But as you're doing that, I'll go ahead and get started talking about the details of the Virtual Expo. So the Expo will be hosted on September the 23rd from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Handshake. You don't have to stay the whole time. You can set your schedule really to whenever is best for your team members. That's one of our favorite things about hosting an Expo virtually is just that flexibility of time. You can have up to 100 members of your team participate in the Expo. Obviously, that's not going to be the case for most of you. But what is important to know is that those people do need to have Handshake accounts. And it's really easy to add representatives to your company's profile in Handshake. There will be a spot to enter their email. They'll be sent a link to follow and to validate their account. If you have any issues with that, feel free to email any one of us and we can help you. But Handshake has really simplified that process. So the virtual fairs have the capability to host two different types of sessions. The first is a one-on-one video session. These are truly between one interviewer and one student for 10 minutes. You'll get a 1-minute warning, which is really nice. That's a new improvement when your session's about to end, so you can kind of start wrapping up. And screen share is now available also for students so that they can show you their resume, they can go over their portfolio with you, and you'll be able to share your screen as well. And then the second option is a group session. This can hold up to 50 participants, and it's a really great opportunity to just share information about your company in 30 minutes. You can have as many as 15 of your representatives on that session, but do keep in mind that that contributes to the 50 total. Students are muted upon entrance to the group sessions, so you can unmute them and answer questions just kind of as they come. And again, you'll get a 1-minute warning with that option as well. And then lastly, we will have a resume book available for you after the Expo. All right. We wanted to highlight the Handshake Virtual Fair Guide as well. It's my personal favorite because it has checklists for you as you're starting this process. It has really great tips for optimization. And then the best part is that it has actual demos of every point in the process, from registering to what the system actually looks like during the fair, so that there won't be any surprises for you. And we've all watched them and they're really short, so it's not a big time commitment. And then we'll put this link to the guide in the chat. It's always on our website and we'll send it out several more times before the Expo. All right, let's talk about getting started. So I recognize a lot of names on the Zoom. So if you've already registered, you have my permission to tune out for like 2 minutes. But if you haven't, I'm just going to go over the steps really simply. So first, obviously you need to register for the fair just like you would a normal expo in Handshake. You'll be prompted to pick a schedule owner for your organization. So this person is the only person on your team that has that ability to sign up for sessions. You can change that person at any time, but just keep in mind that's the person who's going to be organizing this. Next, you'll fill in your company info. If you have any jobs listed in Handshake, we really encourage you to link those to your registration. And then if you've already registered and I switched you to virtual, you're good to go, so don't worry about that. Once you register, give us just a few days and we'll send you an invoice. The fastest way to pay is to select credit card when you register. If you selected manual, you'll probably be contacting me and that's totally fine. I'll switch it for you. And then once you make payment, we'll approve you and that's when you can start setting your schedule. Okay, so if you tuned out, you have to pay attention now because setting your schedule is where I get the most questions. But the great news is that Handshake has made so many improvements and simplified this process a lot. So I think you'll be pleasantly surprised if you've come in the past virtually. So now all you really have to do to set your schedule is to add the sessions at whatever times you prefer. You'll be prompted to assign a team member to these sessions. And once they're added, they'll actually get an email and it just says claim your session. They click that button and then it's good and it's live for students to sign up. A new kind of feature that Handshake has added is you can actually change both people and session times up to 24 hours before the fair. So that's really great because you might need to move people around before September 23rd. And when you're thinking about setting your schedules, a really good recipe that we've found for success is to have at least one group session throughout the day and then to scatter your one-on-ones both morning and afternoon, because we've really seen consistent student attendance throughout the entire day, so you really can't go wrong with timing. And we do already have students registered for the expo, so I encourage you to start setting those schedules sooner rather than later just because you will get better attendance. And then the big question that you're probably thinking is, can you assign students to your slots or your sessions? And the answer to that is no, because Handshake really wants to empower students to do that part on their own. And so what we want you to do is to reach out to them on Handshake, reach out to them on LinkedIn and say, hi, we're attending the expo. We'd love to talk to you. And then they can be empowered to do that on their own. Moving on to qualifications. So one of the biggest differences, other than the obvious, between a one-on-one and a group session is that you can set qualifiers for your one-on-ones. So a qualifier could be anything from graduation year to major. So for example, if you were an architecture firm, we would probably recommend that you only set your qualifications to architecture majors. However, for all other companies, we really want to encourage broad exploration and urge you not to place too many restrictions, because even connecting with freshmen is such a great marketing opportunity for future recruiting at Rice. And really across all schools, Rice students do have a variety of competencies and skills that will benefit your company. And the most common, by far, technical issue that we've seen in the past is companies trying to recruit students to their sessions. So they say on LinkedIn, hi, sign up for this, pick a time slot, and the student comes back to them and says, I can't even see your sessions. And then when I go on the back end, we realize it's because there's just so many qualifications. And so essentially, all that being said, we just want you to have the largest pool of qualified candidates as possible. And I'm happy to talk to you more about your specific needs and what that can look like for your specific organization. And then I did want to make a note, just if you do decide to enable those restrictions, they'll be lifted 48 hours before the fair to encourage attendance. So that's kind of a newer feature. Okay, let's talk about some best practices. So when you're naming your sessions, try to make them clear, try to make them fun, because that's how you'll stand out from other employers recruiting at the same time. There will be hundreds and hundreds of sessions. So for example, if I was doing a session, instead of saying Caitlin's information session, I might say interested in a career in marketing to attract more students. And then, as I said before, my biggest advice on this part is really to post your jobs and your internships in Handshake at least a week, hopefully several weeks before the expo, so that students can really see the potential deliverables from attending and then drive traffic to your applications, because that's really the goal. And then as you're preparing to meet students at the expo, you do now have the capability to message any student who's signed up for the expo with you, or by simply just clicking on their name in Handshake, you'll be able to view their profile, look at their documents, look at their resume. That's a new feature, and we'll link the instructions to do that in the chat. The instructions will also include how to reach out to any student, not even just the ones that have registered with you. And then one of the most common trends last year across fairs and Handshake was last-minute registrations. This probably won't come as a surprise to you, but it's important for your team members to review their schedules the morning of Expo. So for example, last fall, Say the recruiter went to bed at 10 p.m. and closed their laptop thinking, oh, I don't have a session until 12 p.m. And then they woke up and went about their day and logged on and realized there were students at 1 a.m. signing up for morning sessions. So it was a huge trend across all schools in Handshake, and we know that it will also happen at Rice. So just be aware of that and remind your recruiters to check their schedules before the expo starts that morning, preferably. But you will get a notification now up to 24 hours before the fair if someone signs up. So it's kind of like a last second notification. So that's really great. And hopefully it won't happen as much. And then talking about technology, I do get a lot of questions. So the virtual fair technology launches itself in Handshake. So that's a Handshake video launch. But if you prefer Zoom, if you prefer Microsoft Teams, when you're setting your schedule, there will be a little slot that you can put in that link of your Zoom link, of your Teams link. And if that's your preference, you can definitely recruit that way. We've seen success in both methods, so that's completely up to you. And then lastly, to make the most of your experience, please follow up with students after the fair. We know you're working in a pandemic, and students are so appreciative to hear back post-expo, especially about hiring timelines. And you can schedule interviews, as Camille said, through our office to follow up or host further information sessions after the expo. You're also welcome to tag us on social media during the expo. We'll be really active and we can repost for you to drive traffic to your events. And then kind of just as a note at the end, unfortunately, we can't set your schedule for you or really even override your settings. That's just not a capability that we have. But we're available for tech support both now and on the expo day to help you solve any of the issues that you come across. All right, speaking of troubleshooting, we will have an ongoing Zoom room with the whole team that you see here today. So if you run into any issues on Expo Day, feel free to jump in. You can jump back out. You can come back again. We'll be there all day so we can answer questions kind of just as they come. And we'll send the Zoom link in the chat. It's always on our website. And then we'll also send it to you before the fair starts on September 23rd.